I'm Jinhe from UC San Diego. I'm going to present our paper, Folk Models of Loot Boxes in Video Games. This research was a collaborative effort with Zhongyang, Tuan, Lianrui, Tauhidur, and Haojian. In video games, loot boxes are digital containers for a random mix of in-game assets like weapons, skins, or other rewards. In this paper, a loot box must appear as a staged container, must give a reward upon opening, and the reward must be random. In 2020, the video game industry generated $15 billion through loot boxes. Besides, media have reported numerous instances of loot box high spending. For example, a favorite player spent over 10,000 US dollars in 2 years. In another case, 4 children emptied their father's bank account without his knowledge in just 3 weeks and still did not obtain the rare item they were after. Regulations fail to provide an industry-wide uniform social norm regarding loot box disclosures, giving companies broad latitude in their disclosure methods. In China, game companies can display the odds either on the loot box purchasing page or on the game's official website, but there are not specific guidelines regarding the font size, symbols, or other dimensions of disclosure. Therefore, our understanding of how players form their perceptions after encountering various disclosures is limited. In this paper, we study game players' folk models of the loot boxes. Folk models refer to mental models that may not align with the actual phenomena, but are widely shared among users in practice. Through examining these folk models, we aim to understand the current perceptions players have about loot boxes and explore potential opportunities to help policymakers refine regulations and help game developers enhance their disclosures. We conducted the study in 2 stages. First, we found some expert players have created videos to explain how loot boxes work. We started from 2 well-known games with loot boxes, and we selected popular videos on loot box strategies in these games. Under these videos, we selected 80 posts. Their audience expressed their perceptions about loot boxes. After that, 2 authors conducted an open coding, leading to 15 folk models under 4 groups. In the second stage, we conducted 24 semi-structured interviews. First, we asked gaming status questions including participants' demographics and gaming habits. Second, to avoid priming by using the term folk model, we asked participants the tricks that they use to improve loot box outcomes. For each trick, we also asked follow-up questions to dive deeper. Third, in case participants may not actively recall all the details, we crafted scenario descriptions based on the folk models we discovered. If participants agree with this scenario, we will ask similar questions. Finally, to understand participants' desired transparency, we asked if they wanted game developers to disclose any additional information about loot boxes. Through the interviews, we did not find any new type beyond the 15 models we had identified before, including that our taxonomy had reached saturation. Here are our results. First, we identified 15 models under 4 groups. Player discrimination models means game companies segment players into different groups, each with distinct odds. For a lucky combo buyers folk model, players believe that those who purchase 10 pool combos will be luckier than 1 pool buyers. Context-based models means loot box drop rates may be swayed by tangible factors or in-game contexts. For lucky locations in the game Infinite Borders, users believe that visiting significant locations of a character can improve chances of obtaining their card in the loot box. For instance, if you aim to get Ma Chao's card, you should visit Liangzhou, where he was a governor. Activity-based models suggest that game developers factor in players' unrelated actions to determine the loot box outcomes. Longitudinal models suggest how recent loot box openings are interconnected, revealing patterns over extended lottery sequences. For instance, in players' loot box history, 74 initial pulls followed by 78 additional pulls secured the first 2 5-star characters, which is Cold Hand. This was followed by 3 consecutive 5 stars with minimal attempts, which is Hot Hand, and then 80 additional pulls led to another 5-star, which is still a Cold Hand. We also identified 3 causes. Assumptions based on business models means loot boxes are designed to enhance profits. For beginner's luck, players argued that companies want to retain new players in this way. Empirical experiences include users' own history from other games, as well as insights from friends or forums. Superstitious beliefs are amusement-driven superstitions without logics. For example, players may play celebratory music when opening loot boxes. Further, we found three types of desired transparency. Fine-grained transparency means a detailed breakdown with the probability of each item instead of each category. For temporal transparency, players expressed a wish for correct official teasers if the drop rates are different at the beginning or at the end of game seasons. Last, value transparency. Participants wanted more disclosures about free loot boxes. Additionally, our findings align with some early regulations on loot box disclosures. Item-specific disclosure requirements aligns with our participants' desire of fine-grained transparency. Another regulation from the UK also aligns with temporal transparency, requiring companies not to mislead players by implying that item is only available for a specific time if it will be offered again. We also provide suggestions on existing regulations. Policymakers could enhance the granularity of game warning labels by incorporating the desired transparencies in our findings. For example, they could specify whether the game provides item-level loot box disclosure. For restrictions on loot box transactions, policymakers may consider strengthening their scope, making regulations adaptive and effective to more loot box types. In this research, we identified 15 folk models under 4 groups, 3 causes behind folk models, and 3 types of desired transparency. In addition, not every folk model impacts user behaviors, and the current regulations have not fully met users' needs. Future loot box designs and regulations could take our findings into consideration. Thanks for listening. Please refer to our paper for more details on this work.